everybody, welcome to our live stream today, Korean Canine Rescue. We are here and we're so excited to introduce Just Food for Dogs. Natalie, Rob, and Grace are here. They flew out from Los Angeles, California to be here with us, and we wanted to showcase and talk about how well this quality fresh food has been working out for our rescue dogs, particularly Korean Canine Rescue. Talk about the health benefits and have a little Q&A session. We actually have a lot of topics to cover today, so I really just want to start out with talking about how we started at Korean Canine, our relationship with Just Food for Dogs. And Rob, Natalie, and Grace are actually part of the adoption project team for Just Food. They can talk more about what exactly they do for us, but we cannot thank them enough for being here. The food itself, the quality of the food, what it's done for our dogs nutritionally has been amazing. It's been a lifesaver. It's been such a great partnership, and we definitely want to spread the knowledge and the message to every pet parent out there, whether you have a rescue dog or any other dog that you have as a valued member of your family. You want them to live a really long time and a healthy life. So for me, I started my rescue journey with a blind and double dappled deaf dachshund. That's a mouthful, but he was 17 years old, and he's now 17, but when I got him, he was 5. And he was very picky about his food. He was also very skinny and didn't have that much hair. And so I researched a lot about the fresh food diet. And even before I started KoreanK9, I wanted to make sure that he was getting the best nutrition he could to live as long as he could, because I knew the odds were stacked against him just genetically. And recently, over the last 3 years, he was diagnosed with Cushing's. So I started to do my research on fresh food. At the time, I was feeding him dehydrated food, and it wasn't great for him. He would eat it on and off, but not consistently. So I wanted something a little bit more fresher, and I started researching. There's like a ton of fresh food brands out there for dogs, but particularly I saw that Just Foods was formulating food for specifically, dogs with renal failure, liver failure, different diabetes, obese, overweight, and that started my journey into just really kind of getting hooked on you guys. So as our rescue progressed, I really wanted to feed our dogs the highest quality nutrition. So a lot of funds were spent on healing the dogs with Just Food for Dogs, buying it out of our own pocket and going to the stores, and $300 worth of food every week. Going to Union Square, who's this girl Gina buying Just Food for Dogs? $300. She must have like all these mastiffs at home or something. But no, it was for our rescue pups, and we wanted to make sure that they were getting the very best. And somebody caught notice of that. I'm not sure who it was.
Oh, I can tell you, Eddie and Idolo noticed very quickly that you were buying a lot of food, and they were kind of looking into your profile, and they are who initially brought your name to everyone else's attention. And when they found out what you were doing and where this food was being utilized, it quickly spread through our company that this woman is spending so much money out of pocket to save these dogs and provide them with the best nutrition she can. So that was very meaningful for us to learn.
Yeah, and we haven't looked back since. I mean, this has been such a great journey for us and our dogs. We just had 2 dogs come in today from Korea that the adoption team got to meet, and right away they dug into their Just Foods, which is great to see them eating right away. But I do want to hand it over to Natalie, Rob, and Grace, because they're here to discuss some of the questions that you guys might have and talk more about the company, their mission, what they stand for. So without further ado, this is Natalie and Rob and Grace. Nice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. It is, first of all, such an honor to be here. We've been working with KoreanK9 almost a full year now, probably a little over a year, and this partnership has been so incredible and so fulfilling because we have the honor of speaking to all of the amazing pet parents who adopt these dogs, and we get to hear all of the transformation stories, and it's very fulfilling emotionally, and it just warms your heart. But I've been with Just Food for Dogs about 5 years now, and I ended up at Just Food for Dogs because of my own rescue dog and my own rescue story. And this food healed my dog, and I could never look back. I've been here ever since.
It's pretty much the same story with me. I started out with Just Food for Dogs about 5 years ago. I started in the kitchen making the treats and making the food. About a year ago, I transferred over to the front end, the front line, and what gives me the confidence talking to other pet parents is I've seen the transformation in my own dog. He came to me with severe skin allergies. Once he really started eating the food, loving the food, gobbling it down every day, his fur grew in so beautiful that really he's like a whole other dog.
Oh.
Yeah, and now he couldn't eat anything else.
Yeah. The transformation it's amazing. It really is. I mean, we get dogs with so many skin conditions, allergies, immune deficiencies, and we call up Natalie and we say, Natalie, what should we do? Rob, what should we do? And they give us the best advice so we can pass that along to whoever adopts the dog, and then going forward they know what to do instead of doing all the guesswork and the research on their own. And I think that's really important, and we're so grateful for that aspect.
And I'm Rob. I've been with the company for about 2 years now. I started just in the kitchens, just kind of as a regular NC, and a lot of jobs I've had in the past never really gave me a satisfaction at the end of the day, doing all those different type of jobs. And I finally just found what actually makes me happy that day, helping people with their dogs, seeing those dogs have a long, healthy life. And obviously my own 2 dogs, they won't let me leave this job, so I'm forced here. I've found my career. I am forever a Just Food for Dogs person, so yeah, I love being here.
Thank you guys for being here.
Of course.
No, of course,
Excited.
of course. Like I said, it is an honor for us to be here. It's so special, and there is nothing better than we're all here because of our dogs. That's how we all ended up here, and so it's so special to talk to pet parents because we relate on that level.
Definitely.
Like, we're here for the well-being of our dogs. It's really special.
And I know a lot of our adopters talk to Natalie on a regular basis, so she's always been there to answer any questions, especially for new dogs coming in, the transition. Talk to me about what the transition is like when you have a new pet parent. Sometimes our adopters are totally new to dog ownership, and for them, everything is a learning experience. Talk to us about what that's been like working with new pet parents.
Working with new pet parents really is the best part of the job, I have to say, because these are people who have this brand new family member. They're so excited and so willing to do whatever they have to do for their pet, and so they just want to know everything. They want to hear everything, and so that's what's great for us, because all we want to do is teach people how to handle fresh food and how to best feed their pet. And it's so special that they trust us in the way that they do, and we're able to relay all of the knowledge that we have, because adopting a dog in itself is such a big thing. I mean, you're really bringing in a brand new member of your family, and there's so much that comes with that. But adopting a dog that maybe did not come from the best circumstance is extremely anxious, so much anxiety. They have no idea what's going on. That's a whole different process, and the gentler you can keep the food, the easier it is on the overall transition for the dog. That's why we love feeding fresh food, because it's just so much easier for the body to break down and to process. It leads to less upset stomachs, more nutrition overall getting into their bodies, and you can heal them much quicker. And when a dog is full and happy and comfortable faster, the faster it is that they actually settle into their new home. So getting that good nutrition right away is really, really important, especially when you don't really know your dog yet. You don't know what problems are going to pop up. If that's something you can tackle first, it's the best thing you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about having the dog feel good inside first before it can really feel comfortable outside.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things in rescue that we're always striving to help our dogs feel more comfortable. And how can we do that? Well, starts inside, definitely. And that adjustment period sometimes is not pretty.
No,
Right?
no, and a lot of times just that stress and anxiety, just getting a dog to want to eat is really difficult. So if a food is already maybe not the most appetizing coming out of a bag or a can, when you have a dog who is underweight with skin allergies and issues, and all you need is to get some nutrition into them and they don't want to ingest anything, it's so stressful on your end as the pet parent. It's like it hurts you. So if you can provide a food that not only is so nutritionally dense and is going to give them everything they need, but it's delicious, like it's palatable, it looks like food, and it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. And talk about like the cooking process. Like what is the process that the formula that you guys have that makes this food so successful and palatable for our dogs?
Yeah, Grace, I don't know if you want to step
Yeah,
in as someone who
definitely.
came right from the kitchen.
Yes, I've spent a lot of time in the kitchen. I've made all the recipes. We make them, in the kitchens we make them on a bigger scale, but it's the same way you would cook food at home. We cook the rice, we put water, we steam it. The chicken is sauteed in a pan. The vegetables are added. They're just very lightly cooked. We don't want to overcook anything. We don't want to lose any nutrients. So just very gently cooked. We cook it chill it, and then package it all on the same day, so it stays very fresh.
And the term gently cooked, does that mean it's cooked at a lower temperature, slowly, or what exactly does that mean?
So we don't cook it past where it needs to be. So
It's
we
like
don't
to
lose.
food safe
Just
temperatures.
to food safe
Yeah.
temperatures. That way, because there are some vitamins and nutrients that are heat sensitive. So we cook it just to where it needs to be, food safe temperatures.
Got it.
Yeah, we're not overheating or over processing things to the extent that we're losing that nutritional value the way you would in a kibbling or canning process with the food. So there's more integrity to those whole food ingredients, and we can keep the natural nutrients in there without having to supplement too much in.
Yeah, and that's part of like what the research that I did looking into how you guys cook your food in stainless steel kitchens, sanitary, everything is really hygienic and it's not over processed at all.
Oh yeah.
And there's a lot of fresh food brands out there. What is something that sets you guys apart from the other like subscription type fresh food brands that are out there?
Well, it's what you just said. You can walk in and see the kitchen. You saw our kitchen, right? Yeah, we cook in open kitchens, and that's really special that we have brick and mortar locations and kitchens that are open to the public. So you can actually go speak to someone. First of all, one of us, we're all trained nutrition consultants, veterinary trained nutrition consultants. You're not just going to have to play phone tag with somebody. You can come in and talk to us, and we'll sit down with you and help you figure out the best options for your pet. That's why we're there. And you can come in and see the food being made. You can buy it, the day it's been cooked. We offer it fresh, frozen, or in shelf-stable versions. We also have a whole line of prescription fresh diets that makes us very unique. There are not other companies that do that. And most people don't know we invented the fresh food category. Fresh food for pets wouldn't exist if Just Food for Dogs hadn't happened. So that makes us very special.
Yeah, and the founder also has a rescue dog
He
background.
does. Yeah. That's the other thing is we're basically a rescue founded company, because the whole company exists because of one dog. His name was Simon. He was adopted from just a local county shelter, and if our founder had not adopted him, Just Food for Dogs wouldn't be here.
That's amazing. Yeah, I love that. So the same thing for me. Like if I wouldn't have adopted my dog, if you wouldn't have gotten your dog, we wouldn't be here today. And this is not, something that just you wake up one day and you decide, hey, I'm really going to research what my dog eats. I mean, some people do want to take the time to research. And what are the benefits of eating fresh food? Is that, compared to, let's say, the average kibble that people are feeding from the grocery store or the pet store?
Well, the main benefit is that it's more nutritionally bioavailable, meaning just your dog's body is going to absorb so much more nutrition and goodness from those whole food ingredients than if they were overly processed. It's just like when we look at our own diets. If you keep the integrity of your food ingredients or eat whole foods, you're going to get more of the good stuff out of them, right? If you overly process them, you lose a lot of it. It might taste okay, but you're not going to get all the good stuff. And that's what you want out of a fresh food. The more you're processing something, the more you just have to add back in at the end to try to compensate for the fact that you kind of destroyed the food ingredients to begin with.
I always think of it as you're cooking all the fun out of it.
Yeah.
That's a good expression.
That's exactly what it is. But prior to World War II, we were feeding our dogs real food. That was the original mode of feeding. And kibble and canned foods only happen because of the shortage of metals and the way we used to store pet food. And so companies had to get really smart really quick and figure out a way to still serve pet parents pet food without having to can it. And unfortunately, that just led to us creating a product that maybe was convenient and beneficial for us, but not so beneficial for our pets. So it was never for their well-being that this kibbling process happened. It was because of stuff that was going on with us on our end, and unfortunately our pets paid for it. So all we're doing here is returning to the original mode of feeding. We're just going back to basics and preparing real food for our dogs.
Yeah, that makes sense. Rob, so you do a lot of events, right?
I
And
do,
You're
I
out.
do.
You're out on the street talking to like the average person with their pet dog that have never heard of fresh food feeding or just hasn't really thought about it before. And they ask you like, hey, what is this about? Like, is this some fad or is this some trend? Do you ever get that kind of question?
I
like,
do. I mean, actually, on my plane ride over here, I noticed the guy just kind of scrolling through his phone, and I was looking over and had a picture of his dog. And of course, I just started talking about dogs. 6-hour flight over here, and just told him what I do for work, and he asked a question about the food and everything. I told him, same thing for us humans. When you go to the gym and afterwards you want to go have a salad and some chicken and white rice, you feel great. But there's those days you go have McDonald's or you go have an In-N-Out. It's easy, convenient in that time, but what is that doing for your body? Same thing with our dogs. You open that bag of kibble, you gotta rush to work. Easy to pour it in the bowl, walk away. But if you're feeding them fresh chicken, rice, Just Food for Dogs, they're gonna have a long, healthy life. They're gonna be more, high energy. They're gonna want to come home when you come home. They want to go on a big walk.
Yeah.
Compared to a dog on a kibble, they just kind of want to sit there, sleep on the couch, and linger around. So especially at the events, is always the number one question of why is fresh food, so important? Why do you guys do fresh food? Well, just we want to keep our dogs around longer. Who doesn't want their dog around for an extra 5 to 6 years?
Or maybe not have a ton of vet bills and emergencies.
Yes.
There you go.
that,
There you
know,
go.
Invest more in the
Yeah.
front end.
Yeah.
There's going to be way fewer vet bills later
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I gotta say, not having to give my dog an allergy shot twice a year
Yeah.
has been good for my wallet, but also less traumatizing for him.
Yeah.
He hates going to the vet, so I haven't had to give an allergy shot in a couple of years now.
Yeah, I haven't been to a vet,
amazing.
besides having to, do the average dental cleaning or, everything once in a while.
Mhm.
Vaccines, besides, them having diarrhea for a week straight because of kibble,
Oh, I see.
You know?
Mhm.
So, yeah, the fresh food, I don't have that problem.
I know, it's like, we try to, Korean K9, I started Korean K9 built on education of what worked for me
Mhm.
and what worked for the dogs that I rescued in our care. And people just really, I feel like, our community really appreciates that we can pass on this education to other people. And even if you don't adopt from Korean K9, you have your own dog, or you got your dog from another shelter. I always say, like, take 5 to 10 minutes a week and research pet nutrition, because there's some really good information out there, and you guys
Yeah.
have great information. What kind of information do you guys have available for pet parents?
Oh, so much. First of all, we would love anybody to come in and talk to us. If you have a location near you, a pantry or a kitchen, you can easily type in your zip code on our website and find one. We would love to talk to you in depth about whatever you want to discuss. But through our website, we have tons of resources. We have all of the studies that we've published. We've done a lot on digestibility. We're working on one on longevity. We could pull up all of that information for you. But we also just have basic resources on how much to feed your dog, or which recipe would be most beneficial for your dog. So if you want to go on our website and do it yourself, you 100% can, or you can start a live chat with someone from our service team. Or like I said, come in and talk to us. We love it. We want
dogs all
to.
Everybody, that's the dream job, right? You just talk about dogs all day, and
That's what
get to
we're
meet
in,
all
like
these
the
dogs.
prime role, because we get
Exactly.
to talk to people in the best position who just adopted a new dog,
Yeah.
and that is the best time. It is so exciting. You have this brand new family member, and we get to be a part of it, and that is so cool.
It is such a great resource for our adopters too, because I know that questions that we can't answer, we can direct to the Just Food for Dog Adoption Project team, and you guys are on it. You guys have been so helpful and so supportive. We never have one complaint saying, hey, nobody reached out to me. You guys are always there for them, so we really appreciate that.
It's a community effort. Like it's a true partnership. We're part of the Korean K9 family, and Korean K9 pet parents are part of our Just Food for Dogs family, and that's how we want it to feel.
Absolutely. So we did, have some other people that had asked, and I'll just generalize this question. Affordability. Affordability, especially when there's economic uncertainty right now, there's quote unquote a recession happening, things like that. People are concerned about cutting back on some expenses, but they don't want to cut back on their Just Food for Dogs bill every month. What are some things that they can do to cut back and make it more affordable?
What's really cool is we have our DIY kits. That is where you can get your own ingredients, you cook them at home, we give you the recipe, that's included. You just need to buy the nutritional supplement is what makes it a fully nutritionally balanced diet. So you can cook at home if you'd like as well.
And we do also have local kitchens. Like Natalie said, if you type in your zip code on our website, it will tell the kitchens. They do offer bulk packages, so you can actually get the food in bulk, and those are always discounted. So I know those are big fan favorites of our customers.
What's nice about the bulk too is it comes to you in one large fresh amount, which to a lot of people may seem like overwhelming. I think it's the best option to have because you can package it in whatever way is most convenient for you, meal amounts or daily amounts, and then just toss it all in your freezer and defrost it as you need it. And because we don't have to spend the labor and package it, we sell it at a cheaper price to you. So you can make it much more convenient for yourself and save money.
We've had a lot of diehard Just Food fanatic adopters that have been making their own food, and they post reels.
We love
and
that.
They share that, and I think they've, some people have come up with a formula of cost per meal, and it's been really affordable for them, especially if they're going through a harder time with, whatever employment or the economic times, whatever it is. But to have that to fall back on is so it's such a great benefit that they don't have to worry about their budget overextending itself because they can't afford it. And there's a really good savings in that, and everybody appreciates that. So I hope the DIY kit stays there forever.
It's very important that we make it available for everyone. That's why those DIY kits were formulated, because we want it to be accessible to everyone out there who wants to do the best for their pet. And I also think it's important that pet parents know, we know on our end that you are always doing what you can do for your dog. And there is no judgment on our end as to what you are able to do for your dog. And we want to support you where you are and meet you where you are. I believe, and I'm sure we all believe, that some fresh food is better than none. And even if you're replacing some meals with fresh food, replacing your treats with human grade whole food treats, we're happy with that. We just love that people love their pets enough to do everything they can.
Yeah. So even with 150 dogs at our rescue center in South Korea, we feed about 25% of those dogs the Just Food for Dogs formula, the DIY formula. And especially like our senior dogs and the ones that are having kidney problems and liver problems, we've been feeding them. When you sent me the recipe for temporary feeding for that, we've been doing that and blood testing them like every other week. For some dogs that are in really bad condition, and we've definitely seen, I always look like, take our center, somebody that's not in associated with like a commercial pet food. Come to our center if you do any kind of like lab work or study with nutrition, dog nutrition, and use our center as like a test facility for how the dogs transform on fresh food, because we notice it in our bills, in our vet bills. We notice it in kennel cough and all these other bacteria things that are floating around in multi-traffic areas where dogs are. And we try to spread the word to every other Korean rescue out there that we're affiliated with, that are partners with, and they're doing the same thing. So it's become a ripple effect because of you guys.
That makes us so happy. I love that so much.
Yeah, because there's a whole other side over there that really appreciates having the chance to experience what our dogs experience over here. And one other thing that I wanted to talk about before we get into the Q&A, a lot of our new pet parents bring home their dog, and then we tell them like, hey, you should schedule your first vet visit. So you have a point of contact, you have some place to go in case that there's an emergency or you have a question about their health. Then they take their dog to the vet. And most vets are on board with Just Foods. They understand it, they know it, they like it, they agree with it, but there aren't a few, kind of tougher conversations that they can have with vets that may not just have the knowledge of the scope of nutritionally how it benefits our dogs. And I was wondering if you could talk about that.
Yeah, of course. I know this is something that comes up quite often, and it can be really frustrating for a pet parent who's already overwhelmed having a new pet in home, and they're trying to figure everything out, and they go to their vet for guidance, and then they maybe don't get the feedback that they had hoped for, and that can be difficult. But we actually reached out to our vet team because we think it's important that when you're discussing vets to talk to vets and get their feedback on it. And a member of our vet team, Dr. Jennifer Kwan, she's absolutely wonderful. She actually prepared a statement for us in response to that as to how you can talk to your personal vet about these issues. So to approach a veterinarian who is not supportive or maybe uninformed about fresh food feeding, it's recommended to ask for a conversation in a respectful manner. Share your concerns and be open to compromise, and seek a second opinion if necessary. As a pet parent, it's important to advocate for the health and well-being of your pet and make informed decisions. For a veterinarian who is uninformed, it is best to connect them to our vet team. All of our daily diets for dogs have passed AAFCO protocol feeding trials at Cal Poly Pomona University, so we can provide them with the literature and information on the science behind our products. So to sum that up, talk with your vet, have a conversation, find out where they're coming from and why they feel the way they do, and then ask for their guidance with what you want to do. And it is okay to seek a second opinion. But if vets are uninformed, please contact us and we'll send you whatever information you need to have those conversations with your vet. Whether it be just complete nutritional breakdowns, we can definitely provide those. Or if your vet wants outreach from our vet team, we can make sure they get the literature they need, get samples if needed, and can connect with vets one-on-one.
You mentioned AAFCO. Do you want to explain a little bit about what that is and why a vet might be concerned about that?
AAFCO is the organization that sets the nutritional guidelines for pet foods. And so all pet foods have to either formulate to those guidelines or go through feeding trials to prove that they're formulating to those guidelines. We went through all those feeding trials, which is also unique. A lot of companies don't do that. But those guidelines are what vets are looking at to determine whether a food is meeting the requirements for a dog's daily nutritional needs. So it's important. It definitely is. So when we can provide literature showing that we're meeting those standards, a lot of the times that holds a lot of weight and can make a difference.
Yeah, it's a good, I think food should be a number one topic when you're talking to your vet. It should really be like a big focus on their health.
Yes.
And just covering the surface of the problem and saying, hey, your dog is obese, so now eat this formula that's, doesn't, have that many carbohydrates in it or something like that. This kibble is oftentimes recommended in order to combat that. And then, there is a fear there of change, right? People are afraid of change. And what's one way to, because it's not just about once I know about Just Foods or fresh feeding and a doctor knows about it, we want to tell everybody.
Yeah.
We're like, is your dog eating fresh food? Let me feel their coat.
Yeah.
Because you can tell, the coats of a dog that has been eating kibble versus fresh feeding. And like you said, there's no judgment there.
No.
But, we want to talk about it because we're excited of what it can do for the dog and how it can make the dog feel. And what is one way that you explain change to people? How is that something you convey when you're talking to like the average person that feeds kibble?
Change is tough. No matter who you're speaking to, we all have our routines and what we like and what works for us. And asking someone to upset their routine can be hard sometimes. But where we can always meet is that we're doing this for the benefit of your dog. And because you obviously love your dog we don't know your dog personally, but we also love your dog. Like, that's why we're here. So let us help you. And it's usually just changing your own personal habits. I mean, it's like changing anything in your life. If you want to cut out dairy from your life for whatever issue you're going through, it is a process to do that. But once you get into a pattern of seeking alternatives or changing your routine, it becomes second nature and it's not an issue anymore. It's the same with how you feed your dog. A lot of times people look at our products and think, oh no, this is a frozen product. This is going to be really overwhelming to learn how to do this. This is a lot. I don't know if I can figure this out, and they give up before they try.
Yeah.
I think it's important for pet parents to just try. Give it a chance, because it is way simpler than you think it is. It's the same as going to the store, buying a frozen chicken for yourself, defrosting it and cooking it, right? Same thing you're doing for your dog. You're just defrosting their meals and feeding it. But I don't know if you guys have had conversations with pet parents similar to this about
Definitely.
changing it.
There's an adjustment period for going from a dry food where you just scoop it to a fresh food. So once you get yourself a new rhythm, I always say, you have you go from the freezer to the fridge to the bowl. So once you have one thawed out and you open it up, get the next one out, have that in the fridge, start thawing, and you just get yourself a good rhythm.
Yeah, like Grace says and Natalie says, I mean, change can be scary. My best friend's dad, old school ways, kibble's the way to go, wants to keep feeding that route. And his Yorkie, who I actually found and rescued him 6 years ago, his name's Oscar. Oscar the Grouch, actually. Is
Shout out to Oscar.
Shout out Oscar. Hope he's watching. But, he would eat the kibble, and he's like, well, he likes it. I was like, yeah, but he'll eat anything. Like, he will eat anything. And he's like, well, all right, let me try one of those foods. Tried it. He was always itching. He was always scratching. He always had, bad eye allergies. Brand new dog. And he's probably 12 years old right now. He looks like he's 4 again. He shines, everything. But, again, it's a scary thing to change. It's a scary thing to change because you don't, like Natalie said, it's frozen. Oh, I don't want to defrost it. Giving it one shot, once you see how much your dog likes it, but then you see the benefits of it, you're not going to go back.
Yeah, I think that's the key, is when you see the difference is when kind of the scariness of it kind of fades away, because suddenly you've seen what's changing.
When you can see some of the benefit, it makes it all worth it.
And like I said, the fresh food, the benefits, and how much they like it. Like I said earlier when I introduced myself, my dogs aren't letting me leave. Like I am forever feeding.
You signed a contract.
Yes.
I will always feed fresh food.
Yeah.
Always feed fresh food for the rest of my life for my dogs. Always.
That's awesome. I love that. What about stool? Like, talk about poop.
A lot of our job is talking about poop, I would say. More than maybe we'd like, but it's a lot of it. We talk about poop a lot. I think, especially when you're talking about rescues specifically, poop is a big issue because a lot of stress and anxiety leads to diarrhea and runny stools. And when you're bringing a new pet home, that is the last thing you want to deal with, but it's just kind of part of it. There's a lot happening, and as stressed as we are about bringing this new pet home, it is so stressful for them. Everything about their life has changed, like overnight.
Yeah.
So when you feed real food, one of the biggest benefits that I can tell pet parents is you're going to see such a reduction in poop. So much less poop. When your dog is actually absorbing the nutrients from the fresh food ingredients, there is less waste. It's as simple as that. There will be less poop. And we have some specific diets, like our Balanced Remedy diet, that is extremely simple. 2 types of rice, lean turkey breast, that when a pet is coming home and they're stressed and anxious and diarrhea is an issue, if you start out just feeding them that diet, it makes their tummy feel better, makes them feel better, and it sets them up for success.
Yeah, from personal experience, I've actually had my brother call me when I first started with the company. My Huskies would poop 3 to 5 times a day. Big poops, diarrhea. I'm going to the market buying chicken and rice. And my brother calls me while I'm at work, and he's like, hey, Otto and Willow, like, their poops, like, there's not many, and, like, they're really small. Like, are they okay? And I was like, do you like picking up poop? Like, are you
bummed about it?
I'm lost on this question. Like, do you want to pick up more poop? Like, I can ask the neighbors if you want to go pick up their dog's food. But I was like, well, that's the benefit of our food, Ryan, is, like Natalie said, the nutrition they're actually using going to be less waste.
Yeah.
So less poops throughout the day, and they're smaller.
Yeah. Better for the environment too.
Mhm.
A lot of pet parents call us concerned thinking their pet is constipated. And we have to ask a few times, like, well, are they straining to use the bathroom? No, there's just not a lot.
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not constipated. They're just actually using their food. They're utilizing the food ingredients, and that's fantastic. You want to see less poop.
Yeah. Yeah, it goes from like elephant to like rabbit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
Much smaller.
Very
Easy to pick up.
Yeah.
Easy to pick up ones.
There was a lot of questions that came in, so
And good ones.
we would love to dive into the Q&A.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe one of you can read them, or I can
Sure.
read them actually to you
Yeah.
guys,
Go ahead and read those.
and then you guys can answer accordingly. Jess Colexicana asks, "Hi, this question is for the Just Food team. Could you explain and compare the benefits of your natural diet food versus other brands that also claim to be natural diet? For example, Farmer's Dog." Now that's a good question because they use the word natural, and a lot of times that can be misleading.
Yes.
So, what would be the benefit of Just Food versus other fresh food natural diets?
Well, the main benefit, besides being like the founding fresh pet food company, it's kind of a big deal. Well, the major benefit is that you can come talk to us. Like I said before, you can come speak to our nutrition consultants at any time at one of our brick and mortar locations, and that's what truly sets us apart. Another thing that sets us apart is our vet team that I mentioned earlier. Cannot say enough wonderful things about our vet team. They work for us because they're invested in what we're doing here, and they want to help us expand this. So our vet team is really special in the fact that our pet parents have access to a whole team of vets at all times. They can contact us and we can relay information to our vets. Our vets can answer their questions. That's a big deal too. So they always have access.
Are Just Food people, feeders, able to contact your vets directly? Do you guys give access to that ability, or do you like pass on the question?
We pass on everything to our vet team.
Yeah.
They would be overwhelmed with stuff if we
Yes.
just allowed their inbox to be flooded with questions. So usually those questions come from either our customer service line, people will call, and then those are sent to the proper email inbox, or people can reach out to us personally through the adoption project, and we can send in those questions. A lot of the times people have questions for the vet team that we can actually answer because we've been trained by the vet team, so we can kind of lighten the load a little bit. But for those special cases where we don't have an answer, we usually reach out directly to the vet team and get answers for you.
And I just want to elaborate on that question from us, as a Farmer's Dogs, is, we're cooking the food here in New York. You can walk in and see us physically cooking it. As for, other brands, they're shipping that frozen to your door from, across the states. You'd be coming from 3-4 streets over. You can walk in right down the street, talk to a nutrition consultant, ask a question.
I think it's the transparency, right?
It
the
is,
transparency is there with you guys. There's nothing hidden. There's no secret manufacturing facility in the same commercial dog food plant as the other,
Yeah.
the other brands are.
The other important part is, like you said, the word natural. There are other brands that might be fresh food, but it really makes a big difference if it's human grade or not. All of our food is 100% human grade. We are supplied by the same companies that supply restaurants in the area. So it's all 100% human grade. Anything that is feed grade, could still technically be a fresh food, but if it's a feed grade, if it's been kicked out of the human food chain, if it's not fit for human consumption, I don't want to feed it to my dog either.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you guys have that dog bowl that says my dog eats better than I do.
Yes.
It's facts.
Question from Sweet Mocha BB, one of our alumni, Cutie Pie. Any suggestions for picky eaters? Is there any nutritional difference between the fresh, frozen, and the pantry fresh? This is the pantry fresh there.
So nutritionally, the nutrition profiles of the fresh frozen and the pantry fresh are the same. They're formulated to be exactly the same. The only thing that changes sometimes is we may replace one ingredient for another in the pantry fresh version just because of the way it's cooked. We want to make sure that the nutrient profiles are surviving that cooking process. For example, in the beef and russet potato recipe in the fresh frozen, we use beef liver. When we cooked the recipe for the pantry fresh, the beef liver, the nutrient profile just was not surviving that cooking process, and so we changed it out for beef hearts and had a better result. So there will be little changes like that, but the overall nutrients are going to be the same. So you're feeding the same food. It's all the same ingredients otherwise.
As far as picky eaters go, if a dog is not that interested in the stir-fried frozen version, I always recommend trying the pantry fresh. Since it's cooked in the box, the smell and the flavor all kind of gets trapped in, and it's steamed in the box that way. So when you open it, it has a little bit more enticing of a smell. So the smell doesn't quite dissipate like in a stir fry.
I do notice that as soon as you open it, it's more.
Yeah.
It's definitely more fragrant.
Yeah. So you can kind of notice they like perk up a little bit, like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
It's also very easy, and this is a conversation we have a lot with pet parents that we like to be sensitive about, because specifically with dogs in rescue, when you're bringing home your new dog, you want to make them as happy and as comfortable as possible as fast as you can. That's like the goal as the pet parent. We want our pet to feel loved and safe and comfortable, and a lot of the times we do that with food. That's just how we let me feed you, let me love you, let me give this to you. And a dog may be anxious right from the get-go and may not feel like eating because they don't feel safe, and so a lot of times pet parents will have this habit of let me add something to it, let me put some cheese on it, let me add some cold cuts, something to get them to eat. But then we can actually accidentally, even though we mean well, create pickiness in dogs, and they learn very quickly that if they just refuse their food, something else will be added to it. And so that's something we need to be aware of on our end, is let's make sure we're not setting up our dogs for failure that way, and making sure that they're just eating the meals that are put in front of them, and we're sticking to it.
A question from Kiki Kazula de Kiki. I make the DIY recipes for my dog. The recipes call for very little of the omega fish oil, which we have here. Is it okay if I add a little extra to our meals, and if so, how much?
Yeah, that's totally fine. It's just going to be extra vitamins at the end of the day that your dog's having. Obviously, you don't want to make sure you overdo it, but it will just be on the bottle, so you just go off the weight on the back. So obviously, a dog underneath 30 pounds would be half a teaspoon. Yeah, but a little bit extra on a meal is perfectly fine. I actually add omega oil on my huskies' food all the time.
What is omega oil good for?
So it's really good for their fur, their eyes, their nails. People actually think I put like Vaseline on my dogs because they're so shiny, and I was like, no, I don't. It's just
You just dip them in
very shiny.
That is their food. I use omega oils. The big thing I always tell people, with our omega oils, even if that's actually how I found out about JustFoodForDogs. I would go to Petco, I'd be buying this and that. I gotta make my dog like his kibble, and I was using salmon oil forever. And the salmon oil though was just too expensive, and also my dog just kept getting diarrhea from it. So I came across this little gem, and we actually use all small fish. So herring, mackerel, sardines, and my dogs love it. Actually, all my buddies that don't want to try switching to fresh food, I've tried getting them to get a bottle, and a lot of them have actually just started feeding their dogs this, and their dogs will not touch their food if the oil is not on the food now.
Helps them get make it more palatable.
Exactly. Yeah, the smell is
Definitely.
very good on there. But yeah, a little bit extra on there is totally fine. I put it on my dog's food every day.
Yeah, I think dogs really need that extra omega-3 in general. They're always kind of deficient in it.
Yeah.
It's a common one.
It's super beneficial. It's nice. It helps with inflammation. We like to consider just like an overall healthy aging supplement. All of our recipes have it included already. We don't add it to the fish recipe, obviously, because it's already existing as it's
I was just
fish.
gonna say, do you add it?
We
on
don't
the
need
fish?
to, but yeah, when you're cooking the food, it does only call for a small amount, because a little with this goes a long way. That's why we sell it in these little bottles, because you don't need a lot. You get a lot of benefit from just a little bit. And the other nice thing about our fish oil is it is deodorized. So there are a lot of fish oils out there that are really smelly, and you don't necessarily want to keep it in your fridge. This one you can keep in your fridge and it will not make the whole fridge stink.
So after you open it, do you refrigerate it?
You do.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. If you smell it, if you can smell it, it's bad. Throw it out. You don't want it.
Yeah, I imagine it could, lose its quality very fast.
Yes.
Once
Yeah.
it's left out. Cool Nick asks, for transitioning from kibble to Just Food, is there a benefit to using Just Food for Dogs as a mix to kibble? So they just want to mix it in?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Like Natalie said earlier, we all believe in a little bit of fresh food is better than no fresh food. Once you start mixing in that food, though, your dog is gonna start only eating that fresh food, and he's gonna start picking up the kibble slowly and saying, "All right, fill in the rest with the fresh food."
Haley from Haley Dogfee asks, I'm interested in the DIY meals from Just Food for Dogs. Are any of the ingredients in the recipe substitutable? I'm worried I won't be able to find lamb liver in the grocery store.
So we usually don't recommend substituting any ingredients because the nutrient blends that you get in that DIY kit are formulated to meet those food ingredients that are in that recipe. So if you replace it, it will no longer be balanced. If for any reason you're cooking with our DIY kits and you cannot find an ingredient, the best thing you can do is just leave out that ingredient for this batch. And then in your next one, try and get all of those ingredients in there again. Missing one ingredient for, a batch of food isn't going to harm your dog, but constantly replacing ingredients with whatever you can find can throw off those nutrient levels, and it's safer just to not do that.
Yeah, with your vet formulation, the calcium, phosphorus is very regulated to make sure they're getting what they need, so that makes sense. And then she asks, or he asks, I always see percentages on the back of the food packages for things like crude protein and fat. What do all of these mean, or what are the best numbers to look for?
It's hard to describe what a best number is when you're looking at these numbers. First of all, I do not expect any pet parent to go into the grocery store or go into like a pet store or anything and turn over a bag or a package and be able to understand what that means. It takes a lot of training just for us to understand what that means. The best thing you can do is go to your vet and say, what should I be looking for? Because it's gonna differ depending on your dog. It really depends. If you have an overall healthy dog with no health concerns at all, just make sure you're feeding an adult maintenance diet and don't worry too much about those numbers. I would only really worry about those if your vet is telling you you should be. If your dog has a real medical issue where that is very important. I feel like it can be very stressful for pet parents to focus on those too much. There are also usually different sets of numbers, and one is as fed and one is dry matter, and if that is really important to you, just check with your vet, and they'll set you on the right track and tell you what to look for.
They also say that their dog really likes chicken flavor and lamb flavor. The chicken recipe is easier to find in the grocery store. Given that she's almost 3, is it okay to feed her the chicken instead of the lamb, or do the two recipes have the same nutritional value? I think you kind of answered that.
Yeah. I mean, if you have an overall healthy adult dog, you can really eat any of the recipes you want. The chicken and lamb are both great options. If your dog's 3 years old and healthy, you can feed whichever one you'd like.
Yeah, it's a big question we get a lot is can my dog have more than one recipe? My huskies eat 4 to 5 different recipes a week. I like to keep it mixing up just because like in the wild, obviously, wolves, foxes, they didn't just eat the same thing every day. They're getting something different. Each of our recipes has a different little bit of value into it, different ingredients. So keep a little bit of fun for your dog.
Also keeps kind of like their stomach tough.
Like resilient.
Resilient,
Yes.
They can switch from different flavors.
And every dog is unique. I know a lot of times we talk about dogs as a collective, like this is good for dogs, but every single dog is different, and what is great for one dog may not necessarily be good for another dog. And so it's really important just to pay attention to your dog. What works for them? Some dogs thrive on variety and have no issues, while other dogs are much more sensitive.
Like mine. Only 1 or 2 recipes will work, well for him. He's very prone to pancreatitis. So I stick with the lower fat, 2 or 3 recipes, and he does great.
That's great. Dinabella Adventures wants to know what makes you different or a better option than other fresh dog food. So I think we kind of nailed that with
Yeah.
the question before.
Us.
Yeah.
We are what make it special.
Just elaborate on that one. Just you can walk into a store
Yeah.
and talk to us, see the food being made.
Mhm.
Just so many different options that we offer than a lot of other companies.
I have gotten the comment that like when people walk into the store, they say, "Wow, there's so many different flavors." So
Mhm.
I think that's a big benefit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
variety. And just our department in general, the adoption project, is pretty unique. I don't know a lot of other companies that have a special
Dedicated to
department just dedicated to helping rescues feed the best food possible. So that's pretty
Yeah, it was a blessing for us, I'll tell you. Michael Pia from Mike Song asks, do you have any recommendations for any items that would be useful for traveling with Just Food for Dogs, and how to make sure it always stays fresh?
So we do. That's actually what these are for right here. These are the pantry freshes. So these were made for on the go, traveling, maybe boarding your dog, or maybe you're going out of town and your cousin's gonna want your dog and you don't really trust your cousin to defrost the food properly because and you're like, let me make their life easier. I'll give them that pantry fresh, like Natalie and Grace said before. It's cooked the same way. You're still getting the same value out of it. Those are just the easiest, safest ways to travel with our food.
Very convenient.
Yeah.
Element 18 asks, I wanted to know if Just Food for Dogs can help dogs with skin allergies. If so, how?
Oh my goodness, yes. It's a resounding yes. Like Grace and I said, the whole reason we ended up at this company is because our dogs had severe skin allergies, like really bad. Missing patches of hair, just chronic itching and chewing, and then after, I would say it was maybe a 3-week period of only feeding fresh food, it was like a light switch. I had never seen my dog comfortable in the time I had had him, and that's when I knew I would never ever feed a kibble
Not
again.
Going back again.
Absolutely.
Katie Rorick asks, what kind of supplements, if any, do you recommend when feeding a fresh food diet?
Well, what's nice is our food already has most of the nutrients you need in there. There's nothing you have to do to it. But we do have supplements if you want to add things. Want to elaborate a little bit?
Yes. So when I first started out feeding Just Food for Dogs, my dog's skin allergies were so bad that I added our Skin and Allergy Care supplement into it. It's made out of olive leaf extract, so it's a very strong antiviral. It helped with the redness, the swelling, and I think that really gave him the boost, his immune system, the boost it needed to like kind of heal from all those allergies.
And we were talking about this before. How long does it usually take for you to see actual results?
They do take a little bit of time to build up in the system. The longer you use them, the better they're going to work. So it took my dog maybe, I would say about 3 weeks, the 3-week mark, I noticed the itching really subsided. He was able to sleep through the night without waking up and like running around itching, and the redness really started to fade. And then after about the 1 month mark, his fur started growing back in. That was the part that was really crazy to me, is the bald patches he had above his tail, the backs of his legs, they grew back in this like really beautiful fur.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a dog, a Shiba Inu that we pulled from Fritos. Yes. If you know the Fritos story, if you followed us, I love our vet, by the way, Dr. Monaco. Shout out to Dr. Monaco from Dr. Pet MD. She's amazing. But she took one look at Frito's skin and was like, I don't know if this fur is ever going to grow back. And then, there was a couple other vets that said that as well, because he had such bad dermatitis that it had just turned black, like a black leather on his body. And fast forward to like 8 months later, he's got fur in places where they said they wouldn't grow. So
he's so
of the
cute
dog.
now. He's all fluffy, and I love it so much.
Question from Foster Mimic. How come the color of the food packs in the same recipe are different, especially with the fish? Notice some are white and some are oranges, maybe because of the sweet potato, but are they all really balanced?
Yes, definitely. And it is usually because of the sweet potato. It really depends on how the mixer mixed the food that day. Since everything's made in small batches and it's all made by humans, Depending on how vigorously they mix that batch, it can break up those sweet potatoes a little bit more and turn more of the fish kind of an orangey color, but same exact nutrition, you know, from batch to batch. Same with like the chicken recipe, for example. Sometimes it's a little more green, sometimes it's a little bit less green, and that has to do with that spinach.
Spinach, yes.
Yes, when they mix it a little bit extra vigorously, it kind of breaks up and it kind of turns everything green. But all the ingredients are the same amounts, same nutrition.
And you guys do like a rough cut. You don't like blend it to like a puree.
No.
Yeah.
No, and yeah, it's a handmade product in small batches, like Grace
Yeah.
said. So from batch to batch, there will be some slight variation. We do our very best to keep it consistent all across the board, but I mean, we're making it by hand,
Yeah.
so there's always going to be a little bit of difference.
Like they're saying, if we're all four of us right now were to make the same recipe, there's no way they're all coming out the same. There's no way. So.
Don't ask me to bake a cake. Angel Visa asks, and this is the last questions. What is your recommendation for best treats to use during training for, from the Just Food line?
I definitely really love the pumpkin. That's always my recommendation. I know the girls, I've heard Natalie say like the barks too. You definitely, I've had some people want to use the jerkies. Beef protein, a lot of it could, make your dog a little bit, if you're giving too much
GI
meat,
upset.
exactly.
Yeah.
But the pumpkin is a good one. It smells like a graham cracker, so you're probably going to nibble on yourself. But it's easy to break, and pumpkin's really soothing on the stomach. So it's easy to break apart. You can give them a good amount without worrying about them having too much treats, without getting an upset stomach while you're
That
training.
makes total sense.
Yeah, the barks are super beneficial because, they come in these nice slabs, which are awesome for like a large dog. But when you're doing training, I like to just crush up this whole bag into little tiny pieces, and you can just shove a handful in your pocket in a treat pouch and carry them with you everywhere. You don't have to worry about them needing to be refrigerated or staying cold or anything. And these can be used all throughout the day. Like Rob said, the pumpkin, you can do the same thing. You just crush them all up. They're very like low fat, low calorie. That treat I also recommend for people who have dogs who have kind of few teeth. Or struggle with dental issues, because I like to wet them a little bit. I had a pug previously who had very few teeth and struggled with eating snacks, especially crunchy ones, and his favorite thing in the world is if I rubbed one of those treats under the faucet and made it a little squishy, and he just loved it.
Yeah. And just 6 ingredients. I was just reading the
Yeah.
ingredients list. There's only 6 ingredients in here. That's like, usually it's a whole laundry
In
list.
the
usually it's a
pumpkin
paragraph.
recipe, no, with the pumpkin recipe, we actually have that recipe available online as well. So if you wanted to bake those at home yourself, you totally can.
Oh, that's a new one. That's
You can totally do that. It is a lot of work, so if you don't want to do that, you can just come buy them. But it is fun to try once or twice at home.
Second question from Angel Visa. If someone is interested in doing a home-cooked version of Just Food for Dogs, where do you recommend getting the offal like kidney and liver, so the specialty meats?
Usually butcheries is the best place to go. I know, you can't just walk into Vaughn's usually and just say, hey, can I get some liver, something like that. Sometimes they have it, but usually butcheries are the #1 spots we usually find the best
Makes sense.
results from.
And sometimes if you ask your butcher, if they don't have it, they can order it in for you, and they can order it in the portions you need. And if you want it already pureed, they can blend it for you too.
Yeah, they'll ground it for you and make it a lot easier. And a lot of times it's beneficial to check out like your local halal market. A lot of the times we'll have options that your regular grocery store doesn't. You can usually find it, but like they said, usually just going directly to a meat market or butcher, and whatever they don't have, they can usually order in for you.
Great advice. And her last question was, in what situations would Just Food for Dogs recommend a raw diet versus a lightly cooked diet? And this is something that, a lot of people that are researching holistic diets, they kind of teeter in between the two, either one or the other, or sometimes both. But it seems to be a very popular diet compared to gently cooked.
We're always happy when someone is looking at an option that isn't like a kibble or canned. I would much rather someone choose a raw diet over something heavily processed with lots of fillers and things like that. The main difference between like a raw and a lightly cooked is we're taking the dangerous aspect out of it by lightly cooking it. We're making it safer. There isn't a difference in digestibility there. We've done the studies for that, so we can definitely say that. But I usually like to relay my own stories and working in the kitchens when having these conversations with people, because one story that always sticks out is a woman who came into our kitchen needing a fresh food diet because her 6-month-old baby ended up with E. coli because her dog ate a raw diet and licked her baby, or the baby, the dog licked its paws while on the couch and the baby somehow got it in their mouth. It's just taking away that danger and making things overall safer.
We
That's
can
the big
eliminate
difference.
like some of the risk.
And a lot of raw diets aren't human grade, so you can't guarantee the quality of those meats and organs that are going into those raw diets. That's also a big issue.
Yeah, again, it just comes down to research and making sure that everything is safe.
Yes.
And that you're handling the product safe, even with Just Food
Yeah.
for Dogs. You always tell us that there's a safety aspect to us giving the food to our fosters and to our dogs. So, just being able to handle the food in, a clean environment is so important.
Very, very.
We got a lot of great questions
I
today.
know. We were blown away by the submitted questions. They were really good.
Thank you, everyone, for submitting all these wonderful questions. And I think they wanted to do a little giveaway.
This is the fun part. Okay, so this is for free food. We're gonna do the drawing now. Do I get to do it? This is so exciting.
2 weeks of fresh food.
2 weeks of fresh food on us. All right.
And the winner is...
Foster Meemich.
Yay! That's one of our fosters, actually.
Yay! 2 weeks of food.
All right. And we'll
This is our swag bag of
swag bag.
goodies.
Oh man, I wanted that. Dino Bella.
Dinabella, one of our alumni. Congratulations,
Yay!
guys. You guys were amazing with your questions. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
and we'll be reaching out to make sure everybody gets their prizes. So
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for flying all the way out to Los Angeles to New York, Astoria, the gritty queens. You made it here, and we really appreciate your time and your dedication and support, because I cannot say that there's another food company out there that would support us the way that Just Food for Dogs has, and we're really, really appreciative. And thank you.
it is our pleasure. Our pleasure.
course.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys. Hope you have a good time in New York.
We will. Thank you. And thank you everybody for
Bye, guys.
tuning in.
Thanks for tuning in.